How do I make my investor pitch exciting? Every day I review pitches from startups, and every day I see the same problems with just about every pitch I see. They're boring. That's what today's video is all about. In today's video, I'm going to explain why your pitch deck is boring and how you can make your pitch and pitch deck be exciting and stand out. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. In today's video, I'm going to tell the story of Henry. Henry's company helps veterans living overseas get the healthcare support they need. Henry's pitch was boring. However, Henry kept working to make his pitch better, and now it sings. This will greatly increase his chances of raising money. So now let's start with Henry's story. Henry's company, as I said earlier, helps veterans living overseas access critical health care they are entitled to, but most veterans don't know how to access. The result is too many veterans are homeless or commit suicide. It's an important problem, and his company actually works. However, Henry's pitch just wasn't working. Nobody felt anything, and that's a huge red flag. So Henry went to work. He didn't change his business. However, he changed how he told his story. And the transformation was incredible. There were 5 key problems with Henry's pitch. Let's take a look at what the issues were and how Henry fixed them. So let's start with problem number 1. Problem number 1. Your pitch isn't personal. Henry started his pitch in the way that most people start their pitch. He had his cover slide up, and he said, "Hi, I'm Henry, and I'm the CEO of Company X. We provide healthcare options for veterans living overseas." And I know you're wondering, what's wrong with that? And my answer is everything. The words are empty and meaningless. The audience already knows your name. The audience already knows you're the CEO, and the audience already knows what your company does because they took the meeting. Worse yet, you're wasting precious time. Malcolm Gladwell, in his landmark book, Blink, believes you have 7 seconds to make a connection with your audience. The results of a Microsoft study on attention are you have maybe 8 seconds. That's not much time. Henry fixed this problem by telling a riveting origin story about why he started his company. The story centered around the challenges his father and brother faced getting the care they needed and how this inspired him to start his company. The result was Henry instantly got the attention of his audience, and the audience was primed to hear the rest of Henry's pitch. This leads to problem number 2. Problem number 2. You're just citing features. Have you ever watched an infomercial on late night TV where the pitchman just keeps adding feature after feature? Then he says something like, "And wait, there's more." That's what Henry started out doing. His first slide listed out the problem with some bullets, trying to explain the problem that veterans were having in more detail. And then the next slide, the solution slide, explained how his service would solve the problems. The solution slide listed out all the features his service would provide. The slide was accurate, however, it was just a boring list. There was no energy. I had suggested to Henry that he sell the vacation. Selling the vacation is all about contrasting life with and without your solution. In Henry's case, this meant starting with the problems that overseas veterans currently faced. increased risk of homelessness, suicide, and PTSD. And the solution, which is the results or the benefits of using his service. Reduced risk of homelessness by 10x, suicide by 5x, and PTSD by 7x. The energy and the excitement lives in the contrast between how bad life is without your product or service and with your product and service. With these adjustments, Henry had nailed it. Now this moves us on to problem number 3 on our list. Problem number 3. There's no story. One of the great musical lyrics of all time is, "It's the singer, not the song, that makes the music move along." In any presentation, the analogy is it's the story that makes the pitch move along. Like most pitches, Henry's pitch had no story, so it didn't naturally flow. It was just a bunch of slides that weren't that interesting. And if Henry didn't fix his pitch, they'd likely be forgotten by an investor as soon as the meeting was over. Investors may not remember every fact you tell them, but they will remember you if you tell a story. Stories, when we pitch, give the audience something to hold on to. That allows the information you tell investors to stick. The crazy thing was, Henry had a great story to tell. Everything changed for Henry once he figured out how to tell his family's story. This is tough to do. I'll get back to this in my one final thought segment at the end of today's video. Now let's move on to problem number 4 on my list. Problem number 4. You take too long to get to the point. I don't know why it is, but the first time I see a pitch from a startup CEO, inevitably, it takes way too long for the CEO to tell the audience what's unique about their company. In Henry's case, it took him until the 6-minute mark of his pitch to explain what his company did. Attention spans are short, as I said at the beginning of today's video. You just don't have 6 minutes to tell people what your company does and the benefits of using your company. Henry had 2 issues that are quite common. The first issue was his slides weren't organized properly. Henry didn't explain his solution slide until slide 6. The second issue was that Henry needed to rehearse. There's a reason why Steve Jobs would practice a 1-hour presentation 100 times. Jobs understood that practice would make his presentations great. Henry needed to practice. And this point moves us to the final problem on my list, which is number 5 on my list. Number 5, you drone on and on. In your zeal to show how great your company is, you might have a tendency to cite feature after feature after feature about your product or service. You might be thinking that listing 10 features is better than listing 3 features. The problem is, you lose your audience when you do this. And that's what happened with Henry. 10 features overwhelms your audience. Worse yet, too many features dilutes the importance of your most important features. I taught Henry the rule of 3. The rule of 3 is you only list a maximum of 3 points on any subject. The rules of 3 works well because we humans think and remember in terms of 3s. Try it. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. Vulnerability is the key to making your pitch exciting. It takes guts to do what Henry did in his pitch. He laid his soul bare for everyone to see in his new pitch. The payoff was that, in doing so, Henry had formed an emotional bond with his audience. Now, investors were receptive to hearing the rest of his story. You'll have to dig deep, like Henry did, to make this work. Remember, you want to stand out from the hundreds of pitches investors see every week. Vulnerability, storytelling, and practice are the key to making your pitch great. Now, I have 3 more things for you today. First, if you want to work with me on your startup, then just scan this QR code. Second, you can use my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Scan the QR code to get yours for free. And third, join my free group of startup CEOs, Zero to Pitch. It's a community for startup CEOs focused on growing their companies and raising funding for their companies. Scan the QR code to join. Finally, click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.